right, that'll put us in the Irish spirit. Welcome. This is the Fright Club Podcast.
I'm Hope Madden.
And I am George Wolf, and we are live from the Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio. Doing it absolutely live and getting our Irish up as we count down our top 5 Irish horror movies. But first up, a little bit about last week.
Right. So we did Wes Craven last week. We did a countdown of the best Wes Craven films and got really good response to it, actually. I was kind of surprised.
A ton of response, and I love that because we got a couple of recommendations for movies that we didn't put on the list, right?
Well, the ever-forgiving Neil McRobert.
I'm sorry, what's that name?
Neil McRobert. Dr. Neil McRobert. He, and I knew he would. He wanted People Under the Stairs on there. I knew he would. And I'm not saying I don't like that movie, but I couldn't find room in that top 5 for it.
That was not the one of the ones you had on your clunker, your stinkers?
It was not,
for
no.
Wes Craven?
It's got some memorable moments about it. It's got a very Twin Peaks kind of feel about it. So
then I think a couple of people had issues with Scream 2. Is that right?
Yeah, Andrew Sedlick. And I think this is the first time he's commented. So welcome. Thanks for commenting.
Yeah.
And yeah, he didn't think he didn't think that was a great movie, Scream 2, and he would prefer to see Deadly Friend or People Under the Stairs.
Okay, so a little love for the People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for all that great response for our Wes Craven countdown. And we'll do more. We like to take those little detours and go away from just the top 5 movies and do something else like our favorite director. So we'll do more of that. But this one, since we're into March now, this seemed pretty obvious, pretty apropos to get into the Irish heritage and count down our favorite top 5 Irish horror movies. And you know what? We're going to break the norm here and act like we know what we're talking about with beer, although we don't.
I'm not going to pretend even that
I've hit up the crowd, though. I've hit up the crowd, and they know their beers, these people, for some good examples of good Irish beer. So we'll try to pair these movies with a malt beverage as we count them down and get our thoughts. So let's get into it, and that is the number 5 movie. A lot of these are very recent, which I guess we'll talk about maybe why that is. You have some ideas about why that might be, but just from last year, 2015, this one is The Hollow.
He's in the forest again, is he? He's trespassing. It's dangerous for him.
I believe that the forest that you're trampling on belongs to the Hollow.
Hollow.
Fairies, banshees, baby stealers.
So you a believer?
Mr. Hitchens, this is in London. Things here go bumping at night.
Quick, Adam, there's something back there!
If you trespass upon them, they'll trespass upon you.
You should never have come here!
Creepy.
It is creepy.
And we're going to pair this with a good old-fashioned black and tan.
All right.
Just to start out with.
Okay.
Huh? How we do that. So
it's actually kind of appropriate because one of the things that's great about this movie is just this inky, woody atmosphere that they create that just sort of seeps into everything in this old house where this couple is living. So
what's the lowdown? Give us the synopsis real quick.
A couple move. They work for the government that is going to sell off tracts of ancient Irish forest, and he's in there just marking it up and taking some samples and things, and the townsfolk are not happy about it, but it's more because God knows, once you finish this movie, you're like, why are there locals? Why in the hell do people live here? But there's something in the woods that is not going to take kindly to it. And in their grumpy Irish way, they're really just trying to warn the handsome young family. It's all they're really trying to do.
Just helping people.
Yeah, that's right.
The original title was The Woods, right?
Yes.
And for various reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, they never say the woods in the movie. They always say the Hollow. Mm-hmm. So I think that maybe originally when it was released in the United States, they were going to call it the Woods, but there were like 95 horror movies called the Woods.
Yeah.
So they went back to the Hollow. What I love about this, too, is that it's really kind of a creature feature, and the fairy folk, right? The fairies, the banshees, the baby stealers, no foreboding there. They kind of look like if Groot was possessed by Satan. That's kind of the look which I was totally all about.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah, it's awesome. But kind of like there were a couple of Irish cartoon animated films came out in the last couple of years, like Song of the Sea, which are like so beautiful and culturally sort of awe-inspiring because they really get very deep into Celtic fairy tales, which are not that commonly told here. Most of ours they're German. Brothers Grimm collected German fairy tales. So they're told in a way that seems really familiar to the people who are in the film, but they're utterly foreign, literally foreign to us, to me. And and it just made them that much creepier. But he doesn't just do a great job with the creatures, and he does a great job with them. There is the worst, the most startling scene is actually you never see anything. It just takes place with him and the baby in this hatchback car, and it's just terrifying. So
now the director is Corin Hardy.
Yes.
I guess he's got a lot. He seems to have a lot of different influences for this movie. He talks about not only
Evil Dead all over the damn place.
Not only Evil Dead. Yeah, that's one. Irish, just basic Irish folktales, as well as Ray Harryhausen films.
Yeah, well,
in there, and also the Evil Dead, Alien, and The Thing.
Oh, I think The Shining too. I think you can see a lot of The Shining in this.
But then, when describing the movie, he described it as Straw Dogs meets Pan's Labyrinth. So that's a bit of a weird combination.
Yeah. I'm not sure he can live up to that, to be honest with you. Those are really, really good movies.
Those are big. But also you can tell just from the trailer, it has a very cool atmosphere about it.
Yeah, very much.
And the whole thing was shot on location in Ireland, just to keep it real.
And the thing, too, is that, as soon as you sort of abandon yourself to the idea that this is the creature feature that it has become, it takes a really emotional turn that you're just going to go, oh no. It's really, it's just a much more well put together film than you might think at first blush.
Yeah, so you'd file this one under creature feature.
Sure.
And I guess Hardy is doing the reboot of The Crow. Which he got from a rough cut of this movie. He let the studio that's doing the Crow reboot see a rough cut of this movie, and they were impressed, so he got the reboot.
I could see that. Very supernatural, atmospheric.
Yeah, so we'll look forward to that. So that is The Hallow from 2015, number 5 on our Irish horror film countdown. Moving it up to the first of a few films on this list from 2012. That was a good year, 2012, for Irish horror. This one is Citadel.
What happened to Joanne? That was a tragic, isolated incident. This isn't the same. I mean, why would kids be looking to kill a baby?
This is where the scum are coming from.
Saw their faces. What are they?
You want to know why they're after you? Because you fear them. They can see fear, sense it, smell it. And it's your fear they're attracted to.
I don't care if we're scared. We're gonna make it through this.
Citadel at number 4. We're going to pair this with a Murphy's Irish Red.
Okay.
He said, sounding like he knows about beer.
So the Irish are really apprehensive about somebody stealing their baby. This is what I've gotten from these back-to-back trailers. This movie is...
A dingo ate my baby.
No, that's totally the wrong continent.
Okay, sorry.
Very The Brood, right? Cronenberg's The Brood. So the anxiety is because of these hooded, feral monster children who are coming after the lead and his sweet, innocent baby. And that's a great place to start for me if you're just going to rip off Cronenberg. All right, I'll sit through this. But it's fascinating because it's really like an allegory about the sort of cycle of poverty in Ireland and particularly in Dublin slums. And so it's all out on useless social services and the Catholic Church. What? An Irish horror film disliking the Catholic Church? Shut up. But it really is put together really well, kind of like in The Hallow. It's a very different atmosphere, but it's just this inescapable, claustrophobic, creepy, horrible atmosphere. He lives in the slum right after the very last bus stop. Like, it's the last stop, and then they just have to wander into these hideous buildings, some of them just abandoned, you think. You got this creepy priest. Is he going to help you? Is he not going to help you? I mean, he's going to help you, he's not a good dude. It's... but the lead character, the dad, this agoraphobic widower father, is so sympathetic and he's so sweet. And of course, he's just, he's very fragile and he's trying so hard to take care of this baby and keep the baby safe. And the baby is just this big, fat, happy baby. And you just feel like you're just tired lugging that baby around, aren't you? You've got what if you can't run with that? You can't run with that baby. But it's just, it's very emotional and sweet and at the same time creepy in that sort of distanced Cronenberg style. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Well, a lot of it came out of the director, Kieran Foy. Some of his personal, I wouldn't want to say baggage, but he suffered from agoraphobia in his late teens and early 20s. And the entire impetus for the movie came from, I guess he was attacked by a gang of kids when he was 18, attacked and beaten up. So
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that. I just was not aware of it and thought, yeah, that was pretty scarring. Obviously.
Yeah, well, it takes that scarring, incident and got the movie out of it. So, and then you can kind of tell from the trailer there that he shot the whole thing on a handheld camera, which you get that there's kind of different points of view that way.
Right. But it doesn't have that sort of needless shaky cam sort of nauseating feeling about it. It really doesn't. It feels like it suits the film really well.
Now, what do you think? I know there's at least some people who look at this movie and think of it as maybe an extended metaphor for drug addiction, heroin addiction. Do you see that at all in this movie?
Really thought it was a pretty pointed allegory about fatherlessness and the need to just find a pair and be a dad, and what happens to a society without fathers. So
no really drug themes.
I mean, they all look like heroin addicts. Everybody in the movie does, but no, I thought that the metaphor was different.
All right, Citadel from 2012. That's number 4 on our list, and staying in 2012. Good year for the Irish. This one is at number 3 on our list, Byzantium.
If you lived with a secret, what would you do? There is a code that we survive by, Eleanor. Keep it.
Eleanor's written a story. In her story, she says that she lives with vampires.
My mother lives on human blood and has done for 2 centuries. Do we steal time?
We buy it with blood.
We've been here before.
You told your little boyfriend all about us, haven't you? No!
Where is she?
Only those prepared to die will find eternal life.
And we're going to pair this one with a tall, frosty porterhouse oyster stout.
All right.
The secret ingredient is oysters. And that's Byzantium, directed by Neil Jordan, a director that we both like, and also starring Saoirse Ronan, who is just
awesome.
Fantastic in everything.
She is.
A good old-fashioned gothic vampire tale.
Yeah. So Neil Jordan returns to vampires because he did Interview with a Vampire. This is better. It's FYI. There's no big fright wigs going on in this one, and no Tom Cruise. And Saoirse Ronan and Gemma Arterton play a mother-daughter vampire, and they are on the run from the Brotherhood, which is the old-school vampires that don't let women in the club. And so they just sort of travel from sort of ghost towny to ghost towny, and they end up in this abandoned carnival town, which is always a really creepy place to put a horror film. And Gemma Arterton's character was a prostitute back in the Middle Ages, and her daughter, she had put her daughter in a convent. So they've grown up very differently. And so now on the run, Gemma's character is very merciless and streetwise, and she knows how to just get things accomplished, whereas Saoirse Ronan's character is, very introspective and
naive.
and kinder, and she falls in love. Caleb Landry Jones. Somebody just watched Antiviral. Who was it? Brandon? You? John just watched Antiviral. So he's the star of Antiviral, which is Brandon Cronenberg's film.
Yeah.
He's also an X-Man. He's the one that goes, I don't know. I don't know his name. I don't know that one's name.
His superpower is yelling.
Right. It's just, I don't know his name. But Banshee. Thank you. And he's just... He plays a guy with leukemia, and Saoirse Ronan, what she does is she kills people who are already dying, and so they fall in love, and the whole thing. The Brotherhood is coming. Sam Riley is in the Brotherhood. For those of you who may have seen him kill some zombies in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, he's back here trying to kill vampires. But what it mostly is, again, it's a very atmospheric film. It's really beautifully shot. I mean, it's really
most
beautifully
of Neil
shot.
Jordan stuff is very atmospheric. Yeah,
it's a really great back and forth from the olden days when they're telling the original story back to the modern time, where they're in this carnival setting, which is very sort of decrepit and creepy, and she makes it all very seedy because she turns the place they're living into a brothel. It's just layers and layers and layers of stuff, but it's all pulled off very well.
It's based on a play,
right?
Which you can see.
And then the playwright did the screenplay.
Okay, well, that you can see then the back and forth, how that... A lot of times you watch a movie and think, boy, I can really see how this would work as a play.
Yeah.
And then you take a very visionary director like that to give it the look. But it's funny, too, with Gemma is playing her mother. She's only 8 years older than Saoirse Ronan.
Well, vampires can do that, right?
They
because
can do
she
it,
was turned
see?
into a vampire, and then
all bets are off.
She didn't age while the baby aged.
Yeah, but and also there's a piece in the movie where Saoirse Ronan plays a Beethoven piece on the piano. She actually did that.
All right.
She studied for weeks and weeks because that's just what she would do.
Yes, it is.
Because she's excellent and has been pretty much in everything she's been in.
Yeah.
But so it's just would you say a different take on vampires?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's not so tremendously different that you wouldn't call it a vampire movie. That's definitely what it is. I mean, the two of them drink blood, but it's it's borderline feminist. I'm not going to go all the way to feminist, but it's one of those rare occasions where it's not specifically girl on girl action is the reason for female vampire, and I'm always happy when that's not necessarily the only reason for it.
You heard these guys go, "Oh, I was going to watch it too." And that is number 3 from 2012, Byzantium, on our list of top 5 Irish horror movies, and we're going to stay right there in 2012 for the next movie, Irish Killer Clowns. This one's called Stitches.
You're going to love this one.
It was our fault he died.
Not every party ends with a dead clown.
When Stitches the Clown comes back from the dead, the joke is on them.
Everybody happy?
Sniff 'em out.
Stitches.
I love that tagline. Everybody happy?
It's great.
That is great. Stitches, killer Irish clown who's bent on revenge. And what are we going to drink for this? Let's do a Smittix.
All right.
Okay. We've had that, haven't we?
Yeah.
We might have had it. But, yeah, I love that. I just love the premise. He's gotten accidentally killed, right, at a party by some teens, and now he's back, and it's on.
He got killed at somebody's 7th birthday party.
Okay.
And then when the kid turns 17, his mom is out of town, and his friends just invite everybody in the world to his house for a birthday party. So it's basically the premise of every slasher in the history of slashers. And they just play this up because what's hilarious is that what comes back from the dead to seek revenge is a clown. and it's such nasty humor, but it's all very in keeping with the clown theme, like the stuff that he does and the way he moves and the way he kills people and the jokes that he gets off. It's really, really funny. I mean, it's gallows humor all the way. Well,
just the piece there where he's riding the tricycle is perfect.
But it's great from even the setup because, as they showed you in the trailer, when he shows up, he's just like the clown that you'd have at your kid's party and be like, oh my God, who's this reprobate? Like, don't let him near my kids. He's hilarious. He's nasty and foul. So when he comes back, I mean, it's just it just fits together so perfectly. And it really is a by the book, slasher film with that premise. They come back 10 years later, except that every single thing that they do is hilarious and super nasty.
Is it one of those that has a bit of meta going on and knowing what is in horror movies like the slashers and kind of not really making fun, but doing a little send up of those at all?
Well, it's definitely a comedy, but I don't think so. They employ all of the cliches that you expect, and then there's a twist on them, but there's not exactly like an internal commentary about it.
There's at least one little throwback to one of the slashers. The medication that Tommy takes to relieve anxiety is Hypnosil, and that's the same one used to suppress dreams in Nightmare on Elm Street. So they have a little bit of a tie back to those slashers. But there's something about clowns. I mean, clowns.
Of course there is. What a silly thing to say.
Scare people anyway. But to use them not only for outright horror effects, something like It.
Right. But no, to combine it, to make it both scary and funny at the same time. Yeah, it works out really well.
And then what was the other one with the clown, the foreign film from just a few years ago?
The Last
Circus.
Yeah, The Last Circus.
Yeah, it's always with the clowns.
I love that.
It always
movie.
works, and that is.
We'll do a clown countdown one day.
We should do a clown.
Yeah, we
countdown.
totally will.
That's good.
It wouldn't normally work because it's actually a TV movie, but we're gonna have to have it work because Pennywise is the best of them all.
Pennywise is awesome.
I'm gonna have to break my own rules.
Yeah, and we know who's playing Pennywise in the new one. It's that kid from the Revenant.
Yeah.
Will Poulter, I think. So we'll see how that. He's good.
Yeah, he's not
Tim
Curry.
Curry,
No, there's
but
no way.
he's good.
Mark my words.
All right, so number uno on our list of...
What could it be?
What could it be?
You know what? I want to point something out, though, because
Okay.
honestly, every single movie in this countdown is between 2012 and 2015.
Yeah, what's the deal there?
I don't know. It's a very weird thing up until 2012, and I think it's because the Irish Film Board started backing more exploitation films than in the past. They had just in sort of art house films. But it's not like Ireland doesn't have a history with horror. Bram Stoker is from Ireland, right? Sheridan Le Fanu, who did Camilla, he's also from Ireland. They have ghost stories galore, and if oh my God, their songs alone are all about death. Every Irish
and
song,
potatoes.
I don't think that's true. So anyway, I found it kind of fascinating when I was looking into this, how very few, there really, really very few before 2012 Irish films, unless you want to go back to the 70s, and those are really like, stately manner ghost stories where the ghost is probably just a metaphor and there's nothing really going on. So,
Well, usually we say when there's a movement like this at a certain time, it says something about society, something about the socio-political.
I honestly think it's just the Irish Film Board started
boring.
funding more. Well, there's a plague of ghosts in Ireland, George.
So, 2012
Deadly
was a
clowns.
good year, and this is the movie that we're going to see here in just a few minutes for Fright Club Live, and it's called Grabbers.
It's always the quiet places where the mad shit happens.
They're pilot whales. They died at sea.
I called myself a sea monster.
This is something totally different. Something alien.
You don't believe me?
If we taint our blood with booze, we're poisonous sweet. Stay out of the rain, and we drink.
Tequila! It's not at the door. Got all under control. There's none trying to kill you.
You were drunk. Grabbers is our number one movie. We're going to go away from the beer. We're just going to do a shot of JMO for this one.
No, we are not.
And get in the mood for. Well, the first thing you think of, and even watching the trailer, is it looks like the alien face hugger.
A little bit, but it's more of like a squid monster kind of a thing going on there. And
he said sea monster, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what they think. It's an alien that they just came from the sea because they're on an island. And it's really, and I know it's another creature feature, but for the budget that they had, what they do with the effects of these monsters is amazing. They're so cool looking, and they're so well. Usually, they don't really show you. They just like sort of skirt it so you can't see what it is that they've developed. But they show you, and there are several different kinds, and they look awesome.
Yeah, I think anywhere you look and doing any sort of research on this movie, you see it's really well thought of as far as the effects go.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks awesome, and it's and it's just a really fun premise, and it's an incredibly Irish premise. So it's basically, there's something happening. Let's get drunk.
It's the answer to all our prayers. Well,
I don't say that in any sort of a racist way. All of my grandparents immigrated from Ireland. I know nothing but Irish people. Like you can't tell from my pallor. She's either been dead a week or she's Irish. So yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about my own family when I say that.
Well, and actually, you talk about the premise. He got the idea. The writer, Kevin Lahaney. He was backpacking across the world, and he just kept getting ravaged by mosquitoes. And the thought came to him that he wondered if mosquitoes got hung over from drunk people's blood. And the next thing you know, he's backpacking, and the wheels are turning, and there you go. So, making lemonade out of lemons.
That's
and
right.
From the,
inspiration from blood loss.
Yeah, from the mosquito attack. And it came out to... And there's some... You wouldn't call this a... What would you call it? A horror comedy? Horror/comedy?
Yeah, it's a horror comedy. It's definitely a comedy, but a lot of people die, and it gets pretty gross. So, yeah.
Well, you can tell it seems like a little bit of a vibe similar to Housebound, maybe?
Yeah, and I would say also Slither.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, some of my all-time favorite horror comedies right there.
Well, a couple of things, without spoiling anything, to watch near the beginning of the movie. The good old Wilhelm scream is included at the beginning, where look for the skipper to give you a Wilhelm scream. And also there's a sign, a welcome sign for Aran Island at the beginning that is patterned right after Welcome to Amity out of Jaws.
Nice.
So look for those at the
Good eye, George.
very beginning of the movie.
George loves him some Jaws trivia. He
loves some
seriously.
Jaws that was just on again the other night. It's one of those where you're flipping channels and you just stopping if you come on Jaws. But all right, any more setup before we get to this? We don't want to spoil
I don't
anything
think so.
For Grabbers.
We want to remind everybody to come back next month, April 13th. We are going to show. Oh my God, we're going to show Tale of Two Sisters. Seriously, you've got to see this movie on the big screen. It is just fucking amazing.
Nice. So that is going to be April 13th. You say that's the next edition of Fright Club Live. And as always, you can check out this podcast. Should be done. I'm headed to edit it right after this, and it should be up usually by Monday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We'll turn it in over the weekend.
Golden Spiral Media, but we post it on everything, so you can look for
find it at
all the regular places.
madwolf.com is the website. Facebook.com/madwolfcolumbus. And always,
Madwolf on Twitter.
Yeah, if you have any thoughts about this countdown, what we miss, any thoughts on what happened in 2012 that made it such a great year, let us know. Yeah, we're at madwolf on Twitter. So, and do we know what we're counting down next week?
It's either going to be coming-of-age horror or it's going to be great rock stars in horror movies.
Yeah.
So if you have a preference.
You like rock stars in horror movies? I like that idea, yeah? Yeah? Got a thumbs up from over there? Okay,
rock
so
stars?
maybe we'll do that.
All right.
Got to do. There's some good ones.
Yeah.
There's some good ones.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're getting ready to watch Grabbers here in just a couple of minutes. Hit us up on Twitter and keep the conversation going. Again, thank you so much for coming. Mark it down. Next Fright Club Live, April 13th, A Tale of Two Sisters. And until then,
I'm Hope Madden.
I'm George Wolf, and this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Stay frightful, my friends.
Sláinte.